You sit down with your books, determined that this time will be different, convinced that this will be the moment you finally take control of your focus. But within minutes, something pulls you away. A notification lights up your phone, a random thought drifts into your mind, or an unexplained urge pushes you to check anything except the page in front of you. And before you realize it, an hour has disappeared without progress, leaving you frustrated, tired, and questioning your own discipline. Yet what if the problem was never your lack of motivation? What if the real issue hiding beneath your struggle is something far more subtle and powerful? Something silently shaping your habits every single day. Because distractions are not just random interruptions. They are patterns. They are deeply wired behaviors built from repetition, comfort, and avoidance. And until you understand them, you will keep fighting the wrong battle, believing that focus is about forcing yourself to work harder, when in reality, it is about removing what is quietly pulling you away. And the first step in that journey is brutal honesty with yourself. Because not all distractions are obvious. Some come disguised as harmless habits, like checking your phone just for a second, scrolling through social media as a quick break, or even overthinking your study plan instead of actually starting. And each of these actions slowly trains your brain to escape effort, making focus feel heavier each time you try. And the more you repeat these patterns, the more your mind begins to expect interruption as a normal part of studying, until silence itself feels uncomfortable and concentration becomes something unnatural. But here is the truth most students never realize. Your environment is stronger than your willpower, meaning, if distractions are within reach, your brain will always find a reason to choose them, no matter how determined you feel in the beginning. And that is why simply telling yourself to focus more rarely works. Because focus is not a switch you turn on, it is a condition you create, a space you design, and a system you follow. And once you begin to see distractions not as accidents, but as predictable triggers, you start gaining control. You start noticing how certain places, certain times, and certain habits consistently break your attention. And this awareness becomes your advantage, because you can finally begin to eliminate these triggers, instead of fighting them. And in doing so, you shift from reacting to distractions, to preventing them. And that shift changes everything. Because when your mind is no longer constantly pulled in different directions, something powerful begins to happen. Your thoughts become clearer, your energy feels more stable, and studying stops feeling like a constant battle, and starts becoming a steady, controlled process. But what most people do not expect is that once you begin removing distractions, you will face something even more challenging than noise. Something far quieter, yet far more uncomfortable. And that is the moment where you are left alone with your thoughts, your goals, and your resistance. And that is where the real test begins. And when that moment arrives, when the noise fades and the usual distractions are no longer there to rescue you, something unexpected begins to surface. A quiet discomfort that feels heavier than any notification or interruption. Because now there is nothing left to blame, nothing left to escape into. And for the first time, you are face to face with the real challenge, which is not the world around you, but the resistance within you. And this is where most students unknowingly fall back into old habits. Not because they lack discipline, but because they have never learned how to sit with that resistance and move through it. Because focus is not just about removing distractions, it is about training your mind to stay present, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it wants to wander. And this is where your study routine becomes your strongest ally. Because without structure, your mind will always look for the easiest way out. But with a clear system in place, you begin to guide your attention instead of chasing it. And one of the most powerful ways to do this is by creating defined study blocks. Short periods of deep focus, followed by intentional breaks. Not random scrolling, not mindless drifting, but deliberate pauses that allow your brain to recover without losing direction. And at first it will feel unnatural, almost forced, because your brain is used to constant stimulation. But as you repeat this process, something begins to shift. Your attention span slowly expands. Your tolerance for effort increases. And what once felt difficult starts to feel manageable. And then something even more surprising happens. You begin to notice that distractions lose their power over you. Not because they disappear, but because your mind no longer reacts to them in the same way. You start recognizing them as temporary impulses instead of urgent needs. And that awareness gives you a choice, a moment where you can either follow the distraction or return to your work. And each time you choose focus, you strengthen that ability. You build a mental muscle that becomes stronger with repetition. But here is where the suspense deepens, because just as you begin to feel in control, just as your routine starts working and your focus improves, a different kind of distraction appears, one that is far more dangerous than external noise, and that is the illusion of progress. The feeling that because you are sitting with your books and spending hours studying, you are automatically moving forward, when in reality, your mind may still be drifting, your attention may still be scattered, and your efforts may not be as effective as they seem. And this illusion can trap you in a cycle where you feel productive but see little results, slowly draining your motivation and confidence. And if you do not recognize it, it can pull you back into frustration without you even understanding why. And that is why true focus is not just about time spent. It is about presence, intention, and awareness. Because only when your mind is fully engaged with what you are learning does real progress begin to take shape. And that realization becomes the turning point that separates effort from achievement. And once you reach that turning point, where you begin to understand that real progress is measured not by hours, but by depth of focus, everything about the way you approach studying starts to change. Because now, you are no longer chasing the idea of productivity. You are building it with intention. And this is where your environment, your habits, and your mindset align to create a system that works for you instead of against you. Because you realize that eliminating distractions is not a one-time action. It is a continuous process of refinement, a daily decision to protect your attention from anything that does not serve your goals. And this awareness transforms even the smallest details of your routine, from where you sit to study to how you organize your materials, to the boundaries you set with your time. And as you become more deliberate, you begin to notice that focus is no longer something you struggle to find. It becomes something you naturally enter, like a state your mind recognizes and returns to with less resistance. And in that state, learning becomes more efficient, information becomes clearer, and your confidence begins to grow. Not because the work is easier, but because you are finally working in a way that matches how your mind truly functions. And this is the moment where discipline evolves into self-trust. Because you no longer rely on bursts of motivation to get started. You rely on the system you have built. A system that removes friction, reduces decision-making, and creates consistency even on days when you do not feel your best. And as this consistency builds, so does your momentum. And with momentum comes a quiet sense of control, the kind that does not need to be forced or proven, because it is reflected in your actions every single day. And over time, this control extends beyond your study sessions. It shapes how you manage your time, how you handle pressure, and how you respond to challenges, turning what once felt overwhelming into something you can navigate with clarity and purpose. And perhaps the most powerful realization of all is that distractions never truly disappear. They will always exist in different forms, but they no longer define your behavior because you have learned how to recognize them, manage them, and move past them without losing direction. And that ability becomes one of the most valuable skills you carry, not just for exams, but for every goal you pursue in life. Because focus is not just a tool for studying, it is a foundation for growth, a way of thinking that allows you to give your full attention to what truly matters. And when you master that, you unlock a level of potential that most people never reach. Not because it is impossible, but because they never learned how to protect their attention in a world full of distractions. And now that you understand this, the choice becomes yours to either continue reacting to distractions or to rise above them and take control of your focus, your time, and your future. And if you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.